therapeutically speaking, when I was going through this. I want to stress that if I had, my time in these diseases would have been cut much shorter. I believe that is
What
imperative.
kept you from getting help, Cynthia?
A number of things. At the time that I wanted help, it wasn't necessarily affordable. At the times that I could afford it, I needed my security blanket and didn't want the help. So I didn't realize at that point that there's a lot of help out there that is affordable for any class level. And
During those years, did you know that what you were doing to yourself was wrong, that you were hurting yourself, or were you in complete denial for a long time?
I think I went through both phases. Especially the anorexic years, I was in denial, and I think it's maybe a little easier to be in denial in that disease because if you deal with bulimia, you know you're doing that. You know, that's an action that you can't deny. You know, but anorexics tend to slip into this lifestyle that you don't really. I did not really understand that I had gotten so extreme, and I couldn't see my body image correctly either. I didn't know I looked that thin.
You didn't want to see it, or just didn't?
You really can't see it. There's this distortion that happens, and I can't explain that. I couldn't look at myself objectively. I look at pictures now and go, oh, wow, that was really bad.
Right.
But at the time, I didn't see it.
And working out became very compulsive for you.
Oh, it was the center of my life. And my whole world existed around my workout schedules. And they were extreme. Like I said, I would get up and jump rope. First thing in the morning, 30 to 45 minutes, I'd walk a few miles to class and back, get out and run 9 to 12 miles every day. If I had time in the evening between classes and extracurricular activities, I'd go to the gym and either swim 50, 70 laps or take a bike ride in the summer, and that was it.
What did your friends say to you?
On occasion they would tell me, you know, or ask me or talk to me about it, but I would think they were jealous because I was so thin. And I wouldn't listen to them. I thought if they were trying to reach out to me, they were sabotaging me. And I had a lot of very surface friendships. I was, you know, I guess popular in college, but I didn't have very many intimate or close friendships because I didn't really trust anybody. And that's another.
Why didn't you trust anyone?
Because I couldn't trust myself. And when you can't trust yourself, there's no way you can trust those around you. And that was the problem with the entire life that I led. You know, I was afraid of me, and I had to live with me all the time.
Our guest this morning during Perspective, a Nashville author Cynthia French, also a survivor of eating disorders. I'm Jerry Damon. Cynthia, how common are eating disorders today?
They are more common than I even knew. When I started doing research to get the book into this community, I contacted the eating disorders facilities that I became aware of, and I started hearing numbers. Every month there was a different magazine, article, or a news talk show segment. Even the news had said, I mean, it was every week. And at one point in this research, I read that there are 8 million recorded cases of eating disorders among women and 1 million recorded among men. But there are millions that, of course, aren't recorded because this is a secret disease.
But most victims of eating disorders, they really don't recognize that they have a problem.
Some do and some don't. It depends. I mean, I certainly didn't for a number of years then, but subconsciously I always knew I was doing something, but I just didn't want to admit it. I've been in social environments, at parties, music, you know, industry events, and when I start talking about this, because people ask what I've been doing, and every single time it turns into a conversation where somebody either has dealt with it or is dealing with it, has a daughter or a son or a friend, every time. And I'm overwhelmed with how big this problem is.
You mentioned men.
Oh,
Some
yeah.
men are affected by this.
Many men are affected by it, more than I even knew. In the adolescent and teen environment, athletes tend to, especially wrestlers, any individual that has to be cognizant of their weight, and athletes. I've seen male anorexics. I was so surprised, but they're dealing with the same problem of self-image and insecurity as the females are.
Well, how do you change it around then to feel better about yourself?
Well, it's challenging. In the book, the character says when she realized she's gone 2 weeks eating normally, and because she's living through faith and living with, just trying to wake up every morning and having a perspective of love. And she says that it might seem strange that something as mundane as eating a sandwich would be so exciting to someone, but she says it was parting the world's greatest ocean would not have been more of a challenge than doing that, and it was the hardest thing that she's ever done. It was also the easiest thing she's ever done. So that is the dichotomy of this disease. So I'm not sure how to answer that. I think that if you start, and even at that little window of 5 minutes that you trust yourself, you might be afraid to, but if you can do it 5 minutes, the next day you can do it 10 minutes, the next day you might be able to do it 15 minutes, and eventually you will find that your body will tell you really what you need. It will tell you when you're full. It will tell you when it's tired. I didn't trust it enough, and I tried to control that part of myself because it wasn't a part of me at that point. The body was the enemy.
What about family members, Cynthia? If they want to deal with this issue, how do you talk to an anorexic or bulimic?
Extraordinarily difficult. I have, in my public speaking and in talking to the different folks that have contacted me, the first thing I say is, as hard as it is, approach them with love unconditionally. And that means that at times you might not think as a parent that you're controlling your daughter, your son, but you probably are, or they're interpreting your suggestions or your words as control. And if you allow them to be individuals, if you allow them to think independently and guide them, but not own them, that's a start. And this is very generalistic because each situation is unique. I encourage anyone that is dealing with this or having someone that they love dealing with this, I encourage them to talk to a professional. If they're if the child is in high school or even junior high, go to their counselor. And most counselors, I'm sure, will have directions to send parents. If you're a child or a teenager and you're in this situation, that's a good place to start. It's a trusting environment.
How young does this disease begin?
I have seen cases as young as 6 and 7. I'm blown away by that. I think it's huge in the adolescent and preteen, teenage, and 20s. Very huge in college. Bulimia is huge in the college environment.
And older?
Yeah. I mean, I just heard of a woman that I knew very, very, in a very acquaintance manner that died of anorexia, and she was from a home that I lived in when I was a child, and she was in her late 40s.
Tell me about the book. Why did you want to write Humanville?
Mm-hmm. As I mentioned, I got through this experience. I healed. I found the power of love within me. I realized I had that choice to choose to perceive everything through love, including myself. And when I got comfortable with living this way and realizing how great life can be, I felt that the least I could do for anyone else, and part of my purpose here on this planet, was to share this. And that meant, of course, kind of easing out of the music thing for a while, taking time off, writing.
And that's something you want to do?
The easing out of the music industry?
Right.
Well, I had to, I've had a publishing company for 6 years, and I do a lot of background vocals on different albums, and in order to focus on this, I had to take 4 months off and sit at the computer, which I didn't think I could ever do, 6 to 8 hours a day, and write this thing. And then it took 6 months of editing it, which was the real work, and then making the commitment to get it published, and then talking publicly about it. I